So you guys see that kicking off right about now when Dansky somehow got his PC back working because he's such a wizard. But yeah, in my eyes, I just want to see them, I don't know, bring out something good on their CT side. I think if they start CT, they'll have a better run at it. But we're going to wait and find out. The knife goes down. I can never bring myself to cast a knife round.
No, I don't think. I think most casters don't like casting knife rounds, unless it's in a funny accent of some sort. But there we go. FM. They won the knife round, which most likely means they are going to start on the CT side. And one of the lovely things about Inferno that I always enjoy watching is that you can have, even though it is a CT-sided map, there's so many different potential CT setups you can execute on it that differ. Different ones have their positives, different ones have their negatives. And I think what's going to be important here for fm-eSports is that they play sort of what Henry calls an aggressive defense, particularly on this map, which is where you smoke the bottom of banana at the start of the round, you push two people down towards the bottom of banana, you apply that pressure to your opponents and sort of treat them with a no-respect attitude. Because here, fm-eSports, they can't let Xenex get into their stride like they allowed them to do on Dealers 2. They can't allow them confidence to build up, and they can't allow them map control.
I can't agree more, and I kind of want to say, just beyond that, there's obviously the standard ways to do those smokes to banana. I kind of want to see the slightly, let's say, further into plays where you can have players at CT arch retaining their smoke, putting it over there towards the B side. But we are live into this one. On the CT side, it will be FM. On the T side, it's going to be Xenex. And it's a fairly slow, well-rounded start from Xenex. They're not going to be rushing anywhere too fast. But looking at what they purchased, there's absolutely no armor on the T side here.
It almost looks like fm-eSports are expecting Xenex to be going towards a B-bomb site, hence why we've got 4 fm-eSports players on the B-bomb site. And the truth is, with the amount of Molotovs and smokes that Xenex have, they could execute really well onto the B-bomb site, but by the looks of things right now, A is where they have their hearts set, and if they do break in and breach this A-bomb site, they'll only have one CT to deal with, and he's all the way on arch, so they could potentially just storm through apps and quad here, but of course they don't have the same information we do. The smokes will go down, and let's see what FM are going to do on this rotation. They're still keeping the 4 players on B, and it's going to be an easy plant unless Socken can deal with damage as a ninja from behind.
It's a standard plant. That's pretty risky from JT, and up close and personal, Socken does find Rattlesnake. Bomb is down. He knows there's no one by quad. He knows there's no one in apps right now. And the rest of his team should be able to start beginning to make their way around. But they're going to have to make this quite swift here. The T side are in a really good spot.
They've got the positional advantage. It's that's a really great idea to play on the retake, but when you've got a player who's hitting his shots like Socken like that, you might as well go for it. But JT showing Socken anything you can do, I can do better. It's now 1 versus 2. Mole with the Tech 9 held the back corner, and Socken, he's got no diffuse kit. He got a 4-man, but it's going to mean nothing. 1-0 Xenex.
And bearing in mind, he was the solo guy holding that side. Imagine if he had one more player there. One guy just rotated back. Weber was kind of thinking about it almost. You could see him by Speedway almost considering just coming back around. But them sticking out at B so long, just a little bit of support for Socken could have just gone so far in that. It's a real shame he didn't quite make it stick. But look at the T side, lots of SMGs. It's something that's extraordinarily commonplace now. And actually only 1 rifle. So JT could be sticking with the Galil. And the rest just trying to make that bank pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. You get a heck of a load of money when you do get frags with these submachine guns. And let's see how fm-eSports is going to try and hold this. They've gone back to a more sort of standard setup. 2 players on the B-bomb site, 3 players on A. They've gone with 2 on quad, so they haven't opted to put anyone in apps. But it probably makes sense here. They want us to try and stay up close towards together and sort of hold hands so that if the Ts do get a frag, they can easily return it as CTs and maybe even pick up a weapon.
Yeah, vital stuff here. And looking across the board, we still have Weber with that smoke on the B side, which is probably going to buy them a good bit of time if he can. Has anyone got a flash towards it? Windansky does. So they've got a great deal of utility here. Windansky needs to help out Weber. Weber's the guy in charge. He's going to be making the shots. Takes down JT. Windansky supports, finding Mole, follows up with another. This is phenomenal play coming out. And somehow they've actually locked this down. Windansky still is in play. He is still making this count. The teams are folding in towards each other. Pulse is crossing towards the site, but they don't have the bomb just yet. And now it's all down to Pulse. And Windansky goes big. 3 kills that round for him. 1 chimed in by Weber. And that was just a really well done CT hold with so little to work with.
They sort of just run into the crosshairs of both Weber and Windansky. And the thing is, Weber and Windansky just played that by the book. They just played the crossfire and they waited for the T to come to them. But what surprised me was Xenex, with the weapon advantage, they still opted to run through that defensive smoke, which is just sort of like, guys, you don't need to take that gamble, especially when the P250, they should know that much up close, the P250 does become a one-shot headshot. So very strange decision there from Team Xenex. And the fact that they all just sort of pushed in one by one, that's not what you need to do in that kind of scenario. So it could end up being something they live to regret, because when you win your pistol on Inferno, a map which is so CT-sided, it can be so crucial to try and capitalize and get the first 3 on the board. It makes your life so much easier later on.
Look at this start. T-side sending JT to his death, but focusing towards the play coming out, and actually, Socken gets picked up on that little maniac balcony coming in, but Niels is just waiting in the wings and should be able to close this one down. Mole is last man standing. Bomb is not down, so there's really not much working for Mole in this, and Weber will come around and support. A fairly clean round coming out for FM, only losing out on Socken.
Yeah, and Xenex, they could go for a surprise force buy here, but I doubt they will. No, they are. They are going to go for the surprise force buy, so now we have to wait and see whether FM are going to expect it. These Galils could easily take down, for example, Mike S's MP9 or even Weber's P90, despite how strong it is. But let's wait and see how FM set up. They are going to be pushing straight down Banana, and JT could get caught with his pants down. I'm pretty sure they'll know he's there, but no, they've decided to fall back towards the B-bomb site, and they're going to play it more passive and utilize this incredible amount of smokes and Molotovs they've got in their inventories right now.
Yeah, they've got a lot to work with on the CT side, and this should just buy them time, give them map control. Something Henry G was talking about at the very start, how much this map is about gaining that control, gaining the dominance on the map, and just locking down so many options. At the moment, it's been pretty passive from FM. They're not really overextending anywhere. They haven't really pushed down to the bottom Banana at any point. They've not put players into apps. They're just playing quite standard. I think eventually, once the gun rounds become a bit more prevalent, we're going to have to see them doing that. But for now, they're playing it so standard, and it's actually working out. So eventually, Xenex will have to kind of give the game away and show the fact that they do have weapons. And it looks like it's going to be this A play. But 3 players this time are seemingly ready and waiting.
Time for Xenex to finally show their hand. Mike S playing in front of the library with that MP9. It's a great crossfire going on from the CT2 people in pit, and I said that MP9 wasn't powerful enough to deal with the Galil, but so far it has done the work. Shiki nails Socken in the head, and they have no idea that Nielzinho's still hiding in the cage. In a great position to do damage, but Shiki says see you later to him. And now Weber and Windansky now, the 2W guys, to try and retake this bomb site. It's going to be really, really difficult, but both Shiki and Rattlesnake are very low.
They certainly are. Shiki is tucked away towards pit. The bomb is ticking. This has been a very common trend, but Rattlesnake holding firm on the site now. Weber tries to do what he can, takes down one, but Mole was holding the site well, and that is going to be a well-needed round for Xenex, just denying any sort of momentum being built for FM.
Xenex, a force buy paid off, and again, despite planting the bomb, despite winning the round, they're still going to be a bit low on smoke grenades. And obviously the smoke grenades, they had 3 smoke grenades in the last round. It was so crucial for them to smoke off pit, smoke off arch, smoke off quad, to allow them a way in towards the B-bomb site. But Team Xenex, it's all about control from early on in the round. Just taking their time, trying to sniff out, find out how the CTs are playing. And sometimes you will see the CTs go very aggressive, like to try and get an entry frag, but didn't work for Socken that time round. And now the CT defense is being split wide open.
Certainly is, and this is where the in-game leading, the calling has to be absolutely on point from FM, knowing which side to play now with a player down. Socken's been so vital on that A side, but Neil's trying to pick up the slack, takes down Pulse, and regains a little bit more control of this one. However, it just feels that FM are always trailing behind what Xenex are trying to do.
The last time they went towards B, it was a massacre. But question in hand is, are they going to try their luck on that bomb site again? 40 seconds to go, they're going to leave it late, and the CTs, they pretty much feed off this, but they don't have any more smokes and flashes to use. Windansky hears the cunning, he hears the footsteps, and there was the flash. Of course, it flashed all the terrorists pushing in from Banana, and all he has to do now is play for time, but no, he showed himself, and now that B-bomb site is in the hands of Team Xenex. Nielzinho's incredibly low here, and all Xenex have to do is just hide, wait for the CTs to come to them, and wait for them to defuse a bomb and get an easy frag, but they know that this is going to be incredibly difficult, and it's no surprise that they are going to fall back into Tea House and try and save their weapons.
And I'm really surprised at the lack of impact that Windansky actually had off the back of that flash. So he actually caught 2 of the players fully white, with the flash just in towards, the barbecue pit area, but then he just completely left Weber to kind of try and deal with it. Weber goes down, and then no one's flashed anymore. He's got 4 players right in his lap. I'm surprised he got caught out by that, and I'm surprised he didn't make any sort of impact towards really how the round played out. And Mole, Shiki, and Rattlesnake get themselves building up a nicer economy here as well. 6K starting to sit with Mole, always quite comfortable. And you can see them just trying to split it up, spread it out amongst them. No ops into play just yet either. Kind of curious that the T side hasn't invested into that one so far. Rattlesnake opting away from that. And on the CT side, it's not pretty.
I think the last round as well on the B-bomb side, I was really surprised that after Windansky said what you just said, he actually went for the peak rather than try and buy time for the rotation to come in after he sort of left Weber in a bit of a pick. This is the no-respect style of play I said we needed to see from fm-eSports. Xenex, they should have really returned that frag onto Mike S, but he survives, and we could very well see him drop this M4 to a player like Socken, who has armor, has a helmet, and is in a much more healthier situation than him to try and utilize it to its full effect. And there it is, there's the gun trade coming in.
Even going to give him a nice little 5-7, something to work with here, treat him right. Now Neil's trying to keep his eyes on towards that balcony where Pulse is actually lurking, so they've got to be fairly cautious of this. FM are well set up here, they're not overextending, they're playing very slow, and actually Xenex playing very slow as well, very cautious. Just trying to get these players to rotate from one side to the other, and actually both guns are on the correct side here. This could be absolutely massive, and look at this, Niels needs to make an impact, and he doesn't. They've lost complete control, but Mike S is standing in their way. Shiki goes down, goes in for the second, can't get it. And now, sadly, both players who had the gun made 0 impact into that.
Yeah, maybe, just maybe, if that final CT on the bomb site will have been able to pick up the M4, but there it is, there's the nade. Mole blows away Weber to smithereens, rotating over from the B-bomb site. And all Windansky can do here, really, is just put his hands together and hope for an exit frag of some sort, but it's going to be just, it's incredibly difficult up against 2 players who both have M4s and both have relatively high HP and armor and a helmet as well. Yeah,
Pulse doesn't even need to leave pit. He can sit in the corner and survive. Mole might have to move, so he's the only threat really, and actually Windansky will at least be able to claim that, so no, he doesn't. Ouch. All right, Windansky, didn't go so well for you, buddy. So in the end, Team Xenex now picking up 4-2 scoreline. CT side don't have great money. What do you see being the biggest problem here for the CT side? What do you think is actually being the issue with their play so far?
Well, the CT side, I just feel like, I know I said that they shouldn't give them too much respect, but when you push, when you try to go for that aggressive defense, you've got to do it as a unit. So you've got to apply pressure from different areas. For example, there was a round ago where we saw Socken put a smoke down towards Arch and then peek mid, where Rattlesnake quickly fragged him. Normally in a situation like that, you want a CT going aggressive with you to quickly return the frag, because the thing is, as soon as the CTs are down to 4 men, even in 4 vs 4, that favors the terrorists more because the CT defense is split even further. And the terrorists, they can just put all their eggs in one basket and dedicate the mass majority of their men to one bomb site. But there it is again, the AK's doing the work. Mole getting the frag onto Mike S. And Xenex here, they're taking their time. They know they've got app control, and now they can hit this A bomb site from not 1, not 2, but 3 avenues because they've got someone wrapping around as well.
Yeah, and this is a very clean round for Xenex. They've barely even lost health, let alone a player. And now last man up is Weber, who's he's got a 5-7, just has to pull off the ace with it, or try and stay alive for a hell of a long time actually, if he does want to retain that. But all in all, this has been a slightly disappointing start, I feel, for FM. T-side, of course, is viable, it's very functional in this map. It's not exactly the most underpowered side in the world, but I kind of wanted to see more. FM just seem to be, being bullied on these sides. They don't seem to be actually holding it down particularly well. Once Team Xenex put their mind to something, they've been doing rather well at it. So hopefully for FM, they can pull themselves back together. But for Team Xenex, this is a good beginning in map 2 to look like they're going to pick up this best of 3 in 2 maps pretty much. So money-wise, they can get back in the buy. We're finally seeing the AWP in play here. It will be for FM. It's in Mike S's hands. I'm hoping he's got a decent spawn. He does, so he can possibly get quite a nice P towards B. We might see some of those deeper smokes coming out now to kind of complement it if he doesn't get the openers. We'll have to wait and see, though. 2 players on A, though. This could be dangerous.
Yeah, we need to start seeing FM-eSports using Molotovs a lot more as well, particularly later on in the round to try and slow things down. Stampede comes in towards squad side. Neil, he can only get 1 frag. They are going to run into Socken with this M4, pulls the trigger, sprays and prays, but he does get overwhelmed. as Windansky. Now that nade could deal a heck of a load of damage because both Mole and Shiki are very low on HP, but communication here is so important for FM. They need to make sure that they try to retake this bomb site as a unit and push at the same time.
Shiki doing that is just phenomenal. 9 HP on him, bearing in mind Mole's looking down the site. And even with all the utility that is in FM's pocket, they really couldn't make it work that round. When Dansky and Mike get the hell out of there, Mike at least gets to keep the AWP, but it's a very small piece of silver lining. And once again, I'm amazed by Team Xenex. They just went from, you know, almost stationary the way they were executing the very last couple of sevens. Even you saying, you know, quite almost similar to that Na'Vi style, you know, the very slow and methodical play that we saw on not only Dust 2, but in the opening round of this. To now, they just sped the hell up, completely pressured on towards the A-bomb site, just straight through quad and didn't stop. It was highly impressive. So, look at this one again, though. CT side have got a bit of money to work with. They're not completely out of this one. But what sort of scoreline should you be wanting on a CT side on this map?
Well, realistically, you want at least 10 rounds going into the second half. I mean, 5 rounds for the T's by itself, many argue is too much. And the fact that Xenex have gotten 6 already, this could very well end up being 2-0. So let's wait and see how it unfolds. You hit the nail on the head when you said all it takes sometimes is just to change it round, speed up the tempo, take your opponents by surprise. Just how we discussed the dynamic defense on DDoS2, there's a dynamic defense as well where you try to take your, try and surprise your opponents. And I think in the last round where we saw FM invest so heavily into Molotovs and smokes, they would save them for the last few moments of the round, and it's almost like Xenex read them like an open book and said, you know what, they're probably going to invest heavily into these nades. What we'll do is we'll up the tempo, we'll take Xeno and Socken by surprise, but finally it is going to be an fm-eSports player to get the first frag, but the mass majority of the Xenex players here are on Banana, and they could be heading towards Weber.
I really wish Weber's flash then was just a second later. It would have been absolutely perfect. And they're kind of offsetting the timing here. They're kind of throwing out, but great molly comes down from Windansky. That might just catch him. Good flash to follow from Weber. This is good synergy. They now need to actually do the damage though, and they're not. They're just not actually making any impact. They have all of the, you know, the tools available, and they make nothing from it. Weber spamming through the smoke does get JT a little lower, but the bomb is down, and once again the T side looking far more dangerous than the CTs here.
Windansky will be incredibly disappointed that he couldn't at least get one frag, and obviously they forced Weber out. They literally made him obsolete using the smoke. But is this a sign of things to come for both Socken and Weber? Socken with one, Weber with another, but Mole holds strong indeed, almost getting the hat trick, and now it's 1 versus 1. It's AWP versus AK-47. It's Mike S versus the beast from the northeast, and it is going to be the man from the Netherlands to win it. And to be fully honest with you, thank God that Mike S managed to salvage that round, because 7 rounds for Xenex, it's already bad enough at 6.
And look, it was starting to get on the trot. There was, you know, momentum, confidence, every single kind of fluff phrase I can think of would be completely ruined on the FM side. And you can imagine how frustrated Windansky would have been if they weren't able to just kind of reclaim that round for the greater good. Because he should have made more an impact, so should have Weber. Weber at least stayed alive for the retake and came back into play, but it's frustrating when you see that stuff happening. But Mike S, this could be dangerous or something majestic. 3 players up second mid then. He went for the opening shot, took a little bit of damage, but then backed out. And the beauty of the AWP, of course, is it doesn't matter if you're 1 or 100 HP, you can still do just as much damage, just with a touch less sustain. So, looking at this so far, FM, a little bit more money, starting to look a little bit better off here. But then once again, I just feel that Team Xenex is just always on the verge of doing much better.
That smoke will allow Xenex potential mid-control. It allows them to cancel out Arch and focus most of their attention towards Quad. Try and clear that out. Well, they'll know that Xeno and Socken will be playing there. It's happened round after round, and now I think this is the first time I actually see this kind of setup where we've got Socken. We've seen him quite a few times in pit, but Xeno, instead of playing behind the truck, he's now trying to hold apps. And Mike S here is in a great position to deal a heck of a load of damage, but he could easily get cancelled out by a pop flash coming out from the T's and the smoke potentially.
It's starting to see all that utility finding its form. Players in apps, great work from Socken then, just keeping him busy on. How the hell did Mike S not expect the push-up coming out? Now Socken has to do this alone, and he's doing it alone! He's already picked up 3 this round. Can he claim another? Can he get the quad to save his team here? Rattlesnake is looking. He wants this kill more than anything. He's going to claim it. Rattlesnake himself on 2. With 10 seconds remaining. I can't imagine it'll be allowed by Park. Great play from Weber, calling the bluff, not just going straight into that. Bomb comes in again, his time has run out, and Rattlesnake leaving it a little bit too late. The CT side will eventually take him down. But that round, once again, can be pretty much gifted over to Socken, single-handedly doing so much more than anyone else. And I think you were even looking a little frustrated when you saw Mike S being picked up then.
I was expecting Xenex to renew the smoke onto Arch, or at least send one person around who would flash. But Rattlesnake was such an easy frag for him. You can't let that happen, especially when you've got the AWP, which is such a goddamn expensive weapon. You can't just give it to the opposition like that. And one thing to note in that last round, the fact that Rattlesnake died after the timer, he was pretty much broke. Fortunately for him, though, the rest of his teammates can still buy him an AK-47. And because of how many consecutive rounds Xenex have actually built up so far this half, they've still got a heck of a load of smoke and flashes to work with. They could easily infiltrate either of these two bomb sites, particularly if they keep, well...
if he can let go of the flash.
Yes, cheeky, sort it out, come on, dude.
But regardless, they are starting to push in, and you can see a slightly more confident side, but Rattlesnake, again, just being able to land these shots. Pulse completely wiping off Niels, and this is just a slaughter. I don't know how Team Xenex can just keep bullying their way into this site.
Well, again, I don't feel like the fm-eSports trying to prevent it. We're not seeing the use of any Molotovs. Like the Molotov at the start of CSGO, a lot of people, because they weren't used to it in 1.6 and Source, we didn't see it utilized as much as it really realistically could have been. But now we start seeing, especially on a map like Inferno, particularly here on the B bomb site or Arch or Quad, it's become such an integral part of how you play the CT side because of how much it slows down the terrorists, how much it allows you to run down the clock. And we're not seeing fm-eSports and Neil Xeno and Socken really use them, because I just feel like something as simple as that would genuinely make a big difference on these teams' NX pushes.
It's quite funny you mentioned the Molotov at the start of the game when it first got added in. Like if you remember playing it, you could literally throw a Molotov from, I think it was Nuke CT spawn all the way over towards T spawn, so you could literally stop them rushing. It was always great fun. Yeah, I think it was like in the alpha beta days. It was a bad time for CSGO. It was not pretty.
I remember the CSGO beta.
It was.
I prefer not to remember it though.
Yeah, we try to forget. It's come a long way, but still, let's keep our eyes into this round. 4-7 is the overall scoreline. Team Xenex is leading the way on the T side with those 7 rounds behind them, and look at what they've got to work with. Molly upon molly, smokes, flashes, everything they want here. They can make a play just off the back of anything, and this is going to be a real issue. Windansky switching up, going a little more aggressive. Nice pop flash. That's something we wanted to see earlier, coming out from Weber, showing a little bit of coordination, but that might just spur on the play towards the safe side.
It's more like it from fm-eSports, but are they going to check here, this quad roof? Socken, he will have seen Pulse in Boiler Room, and he finally does get that frag, and maybe, just maybe, fm-eSports will kick on now and get their 5th round on the board. Team Xenex, they still have 3 AK-47s to work with, but fm-eSports outnumber them. But you've also got to keep in mind the fact that Neil and Mike S are still only on pistols. So don't rule Xenex out just yet, and they are going to be running towards Weber.
And Rattlesnake is going in, but this time Windansky is there, and this time he does deliver. Shiki is the last man alive. He was lurking up the top of mid just a little later than the others, trying to catch in on rotating, and he will do just that. A little bit sloppy there from Socken to not expect someone to watch him as he just hops down mid. Still, bomb is firmly in the CT's hands. This round should never leave their control now. And sadly for Shiki, he's just going to try and maybe keep hold of the gun, get a couple more exits, and that's the best you can hope for. But overall, looking at the performance coming out on the CT side, there is one player standing above the breast. I did call him a little bit sloppy in that round because he did just hop down mid, but Socken again, if you added some utility to what they're doing, so if you added the smokes and mollies, like you were saying, they could be quite a formidable force. But it is such a telling tale of a team who doesn't really play together that much. It's slightly got that mixture element in it. And it's definitely showing in the way they're holding. But there's a little bit more hope in that round.
As well, it's small partnerships as well, like on the bomb sites. When you're a team, especially for example on the B bomb site or the 2 quad players, those 2 players are used to playing with each other. They have, for example, they can communicate with each other. They say, for example, they have pop flashes up their sleeves kind of thing that they're used to doing together. And because these guys haven't been functioning as a team, they haven't played that much prior to this event together, they will lack that chemistry and synergy. And we could see the pop flash again, which did in fact prove quite successful last time round.
Ooh, maybe just Windansky wanted to go and peek it without it. A little bit odd there. Leaving Weber now in a bit of a situation. Players rushing out in 1-2. Looks for the third, switches up to the pistol. A little too late to the punch, but Pulse now severely outnumbered.
Or is he? There's the first, and you can never rule out a player of his quality. He is going to plant. He knows that there's going to be someone coming from Banana. And Socken, of course, coming from CT spawn, mainly because he spotted him earlier on. But he is in the open here, Pulse. As the CTs, there's the flash from Neilzinho, and that should be the call for Socken to try and breach this bomb site. They know exactly where Pulse is. He's just going to try and hold this corner. But that bomb is ticking, and as expected, the CTs just about get it. I think the main issue there for Pulse was he was just too damn low on HP. But it was good that he planted nonetheless, you know. So it is going to give him and the rest of his teammates that extra 800 bucks to work with. But they probably are going to reco this round. But they shouldn't really care because they've got 7 rounds on the T side of Inferno. And they forced it up. Could be a sign of confidence.
Nicely done. So Pulse could be the one with the AK out of this lot. Could be sticking out the rest. Just going to try and surround themselves with him. This has become more and more common practice. You know, these the Tech 9s are so strong. They are viable, and confident play coming out from Socken then just to face in mid. And he's sitting close to CT Arch. And, sorry, excuse me, Quad. He's sitting right onto the corner of it. And, well, I'm wondering if that's going to actually pay off. See how close he is just towards the edge of that smoke. And Neil's not too far away either. A little bit of spam comes down. That's from Mole. Not far off on target either. And then the slow rotate seems to be once again coming into play, looking like they're going to go towards B. This is once again something similar, and sadly, Weber's already left. He's over by A. If they exploit this now, Windansky's absolutely screwed.
Yeah, the T-smokes came in, and fm-eSports, they bought the fake, but Windansky here, this is more like it. They're renewing the smokes. He still has a Molotov, so he is going to throw it down. There it is, and that will slow the Xenex push coming in. Weber, he's literally walking past the T's. They're still in front of him, but he's completely flashed, had no idea. Windansky burns Mole to the ground. Shiki with a CZ75 as well, and Weber now waiting for the reinforcements to come in to add insult to injury, gets a frag as well. But the bomb is down, and all Xenex have to do is just hide here and wait for the CTs to come to them, and who knows what might happen at this point.
Yeah, this could go either way, and with Niels doing that, it certainly looks like it works out well. But Shiki and Rattlesnake, last 2 alive, and they're making this one hard. 2v2 now. Shiki to the left. Weber just looking over towards the right. This looks like Rattlesnake is just outgunned and outnumbered, and finally, FM will get a solid retake onto this B site, but that got far too close again, and sadly for Weber, him completely buying into that A play meant it was a long old road back towards B. They gave a very good shot for the T side to get that control and get that bomb down.
Yeah, I think Windansky as well will be much happier with how that round went. He at least got 1 frag before hitting the floor, and most importantly, he bought time for the rest of his teammates to rotate in as well, which is quite a contrast as opposed to what we saw in the earlier rounds from him on that B-bomb site alongside Weber. So there was the peak from Mykes towards second mid. He'll have called now where the Xenex players are, and that's why the smokes are going down to prevent any fast Xenex push coming in.
Nicely done. Good foresight towards how this might be played out. They are actually still committing for this, even though I'm pretty sure they were aware that he may have seen them. They may still think this is where they want to be. This is the site they want to be looking towards. Nice follow-up smoke coming out from Socken. Just going to secure this site for another 15-ish seconds, as Mykes is just waiting. The Fnatic style smoke and flash coming up towards the top of mid, and Shiki just breaking with Rattlesnake, but right around the back, lurking, catching him in the heels. Mykes could have had something phenomenal. It was just slipped out of his hands. Now 3v4, they've got to play this retake perfectly.
They do, they've got to push in together. And Mykes, he did let one of the T's at least slip. As the retake comes in, we've got Mykes and Co making their way in from Quad, and Windansky dealing the damage as well. It is going to be Windansky with a headshot onto Graveyard. Mykes coming in, knows exactly where Rattlesnake is hiding, but Rattlesnake rolls back the ears. Double coming in from him, and it's all down to his ex-Xenex's teammate and Weber. And he's not going to be able to save the day for FM. 8 rounds on the T side of Inferno for Xenex. An incredibly strong half for them.
They have to be pleased with that. That is a very strong half. It may look like you could say it's even overall, I guess, if you were fairly new to CS, but for a T side coming in like that, coming straight into the map, they played it off so well, Xenex. And they never really looked that challenged, even though there was 7 rounds in there for FM. It never really felt like they were in control. And looking at this purchase again, it's quite strange. On the CT side of things, Team Xenex, even when they're on the T side, didn't buy a piece of armor, and they're doing the same thing here. This is very unique, and it seems like they're a big fan of doing this. So at the moment, FM starting to look maybe towards that B site. She can then going to just drop out that lovely little smoke, buy him some time, and also just give him a little bit more control back, because there is that 4-man stack on A for the CTs.
It is, and it's a contrast to what FM did. FM stacked 4 players on B. This time round, Xenex are going to stack 4 players on A. But as we can see, the mass majority of the FM players are in fact going to be going towards B, and Shiki will be the first and last line of defense as things currently stand. Should the T's head towards here, and he's trying to use this smoke to his advantage. He almost seems like he's not quite sure where he wants to play himself. He's still trying to decide, but he's got to be careful because those Glocks are incredibly deadly up close and personal.
I'm really glad that just came into play. However, it may almost encourage the T-side to make a play off the back of it because they know they're trying to support someone on their own almost. And Shiki waiting out perfectly. He pounces, that's unbelievable. 2 down, Shiki holding his nerve. Third comes into play. This could change the game here. This could put them just so far ahead. And now Mike S, all alone, 1v4. You've got to be gutted at this point.
Well, we call him Shiki. To be fully honest, we call him that quite a lot of times, and he loves it, and that's why, because it looked like at one point he was confused, didn't know what to do with that smoke, but as soon as the smoke came in from his teammate, his positioning was perfect. And FM, they're going to be extremely disappointed that they didn't check that corner, because it should really be standard procedure. And
I'm sure you guys can't read it, but I do love the banter beginning in chat, where they're just saying to Shiki, I'm really glad that finally Rattlesnake taught you to sit behind the smoke and not push through it. It's always good. Like, I love the English banter that comes into play. You guys can't see the chat, so you just put a lovely little picture over the top of it, but it's always quite fun. But still, looking at the T-side now, they're just going to be lining up and going for this one, and Rattlesnake is absolutely ripping holes into the T-side. That, going to switch up to the P2K, does just as well with that. Sadly can't get any more, but already the T-side are left in absolute ruins, and really, Xenex just looks so in control here.
Yeah, he got the information. CTs are going to know exactly where the fm-eSports players are lurking, and all they have to do now, especially with these submachine guns, the FAMAS and the P90, is just keep their distance and wait for fm-eSports to rush towards one of these 2 bomb sites, because they've got to try and plant really here. But Mole is going to say, thank you very much, see you later, Weber. I'm going to creep up behind you, and I'm going to frag you.
Yeah, perfectly done, and now JT should be able to achieve the same if Mole lets him. Mole might just do it all himself, and he does, picking up 3 then, locking down the side, and it looks like Team Xenex are certainly on the right track to picking this game up. The money for the T side is pretty poor as well.
It is. It wouldn't surprise me to see a full eco here, or maybe just 1 or 2 of them investing the odd smoke grenade here and there to maybe try and push the B bomb site, smoke off CT, smoke off the coils, but no smokes, no nothing. So if they manage to get something out this round, fair play to them. They really need to try and get a plant here. It will help their economy in the long run, but they've not even got any armor, and up against these submachine guns, it's going to be very, very difficult.
Yeah, Rattlesnake just waiting this one out. You can see just not too far away is Socken. She's going to be maybe looking towards second mid, but the bomb is still at the bottom by T stairs, so T-side haven't really committed anywhere, but they are just on these pistols. They really don't have much to work with, and just by Boiler, oh, the timing on that Socken is actually peeking out, and Rattlesnake just looked away, and he's going to have to adjust himself to this. Good flash comes out, though, basic enough, and it does the job. He gets a great connection towards 1. Weber does avenge, and now we're seeing the T-side trying to make a play from this, but these SMGs have bullets for days, and Weber now, last man alive, 1v4. I doubt he'll even get a kill. This looks like Xenex are on the verge of almost closing this game out.
And the fact that Xenex in the last few rounds, they barely lost any men as well, which is why you look at the finances on the right-hand side, it's so healthy. Mole, he is going to trade out that MP7 for the M4A1. Much well-deserved, because he definitely put a shift in with it. However, this is where fm-eSports, this is their opportunity now. This is the window of opportunity where they can try and turn this back in their favor and get 8 rounds on the board. If they win 2 consecutive rounds now, they will knock Xenex down onto an eco. They've got to use these AK-47s as well as they can.
It's the big point, isn't it? They've got to make this count, and I think Mole just heard a couple of shots being made in towards those apps. Be aware that the T-side does have control side of the map. And actually, the T-side looking like they want to make an A play out of this. Weber just still sitting on banana, but the rest are here. They are looking prepared. Rattlesnake might just be a little smoked out here at CT Arch. Then you still have the 2 players just waiting out in towards the pit and on towards the balcony. The T-side could be in trouble here if they don't make a play out of this soon.
They've got smokes. They could easily smoke out JT and Pit. They put a smoke down onto Arch to try and nullify the threat of Rattlesnake. They're going to flash him as well. But if they're going to execute, they have to try and execute fast.
Oh, JT's going aggressive.
Here it is. JT going aggressive, and he's going to try and return it, and he does get caught with his pants down. Rattlesnake still lurking in Arch, however, gets the double. That could be huge for Xenex here, and Neilzinho and Weber in an incredibly tough situation, and Xenex showing no respect, pushing straight down Banana, Pulse with a P90, and Neil now with a very, very steep hill to try and climb.
And it just went from bad to worse then for FM, just being bullied around the map, never quite in control. Rattlesnake played it perfectly, and just connecting those shots in towards mid just made it so much better. Now you can see Neil is surrounded on every single front. He's got 8 seconds left. He cannot make this one happen, sadly. He may get a kill here, taking down Mole and trying to do some damage to the economy, but they're so well funded right now. He is just getting the hell out of Dodge. Cheeky and Rattlesnake stay alive, but it's starting to look like this is a very one-sided game. And sadly for Niels, he's not having a great one himself.
FM spent so much time at the top of mid. It allowed the Xenex players to go aggressive down towards bottom of Banana, and they called it out to their teammates, said, guys, no one's here. Xenex knew exactly what was coming, and Mole even capitalized with a Molotov kill as well. And it was great work from Team Xenex, and that's something I actually wanted to see more of FM do towards that B-bomb site. They got breached a lot, Weber and Windansky on that B-bomb side. They'd gone a bit more aggressive, thrown the smoke from CT spawn down towards the bottom, then they may have been able to push down, even prevent Xenex access towards Banana, and they wouldn't have been able to execute onto B. But Neilzinho, he's the man with the AK-47, and he's the man who wants to instigate something this round. We still got two more CTs on this A-bomb side to try and prevent the push, but it looks like FN might actually sneak through CT spawn and try and wrap around the B-bomb site.
Oh, and Cheeky, as if you're unexpected. How is he just allowed to get away with that? Finally, Socken gets the kill, but looking at this, we just have to keep our eyes on the players. We had Niels trying to lurk around the back, that doesn't pay off. But the T-side are now in that race towards B. Pulse is falling back quick, as you can imagine. And now on the other side, everyone else trying to rotate. You might actually be able to catch one here. My guess does get a good couple of shots in, surprisingly. The bomb is going down. Pulse well aware of where those players were. I don't know if the T-side can hold this for a long time. They are, without armor to the vast majority. This could be a hard one to hold.
It is. It'd be interesting to see whether Weber just goes crazy with his Tech 9, like rushes out and tries to get up close, try and get a frag. It's important now that the rifles try and stay alive, but that's one rifle down. That was the firepower for fm-eSports. We're talking about firepower. This Tech 9 ain't too bad itself. It's 2 versus 2. Bomb gonna be diffused, but there it is. Socken and Mike S. just about salvaging that round, and when you consider how low fm-eSports were on firepower, in the end it turned out to be a great hold from them, and Weber, fair play to him getting the frag with the Tech 9.
You can always depend on Weber to a degree. He does seem to just have that real class at times as a player. He's known as one of the veterans almost, I guess, these days in the UK scene. He's around long enough. And now, looking at this one. Xenex, I'm just losing a little bit of control. It's playing a little less as polished. It's quite funny. I was very surprised that Rattlesnake didn't actually manage to make anything happen at the top of mid. That time it was Niels who just absolutely decimated him in the last round. This time, looking like he wants to switch up a bit here. Changing position, going to move up a little closer. He has support this time. And that's going to be like a Mole just kind of making his way out of pit. Normally he's been sitting in pit or on balcony. Joined by Pulse, if I'm not mistaken, and they're just trying to create the illusion of Rattlesnake without him actually making the bullet. So, 52 seconds, they've got control of mid, but this time Rattlesnake's landing it. Nice little flash to follow, second to go, just in case the T-side start to push, and they do, but they catch him this time. They have control again, this is better play from FM.
It is, and the question at hand here is, are they going to repeat what they did a few rounds ago, go towards CT spawn, wrap around B, or head towards the bomb site they're closer to on the A bomb site? JT here, I don't think they're going to be expecting him in apps. He's in a great position. Pulse is going to be coming through as well, and the T's, they need to get this bomb down because the CTs, they're closing in on them, and you know what, Pulse is going to prevent the bomb going down. He's going to get a double as well, and this fm-eSports P side begins to crumble.
Pulse has just got an absolute beast aim right now, finally put to bed by Weber, but it's down to a 1v1. This should have been so much cleaner. And now Weber retrieves the bomb. Start placing that down. Weber called out Cheeky just a couple of rounds ago, so he's going to want to get this one, and Cheeky loving to prove him wrong. Popping up towards the card, spots him out, but Weber gets the drop, puts out the flash, and just needs to wait now. Cheeky staying alive in the flash, goes for the shot. Cheeky gonna make it happen, surely. Oh, Cheeky, no. That is a disaster. Pushing him with the pistol, and he might just indeed have this. It's going to be close.
For a second there, I thought he was going to fluff his lines. Really, really unlike Shiki, but
God,
just
that
about
spray.
gets it.
That spray at the end, it was like that centimetre behind. And you can imagine he was just absolutely killing himself over that one. But he got it in the end. Weber went down. And it was all about Pulse that round. He came in through CT Arch and then just went to town. He got the bomb planters stopped. Everything just went in his favor.
I guess the question at hand is, why wasn't someone trying to sort of cover the person planting the bomb a lot stronger? It's similar to, I think, when Alu did his bodyguard thing, trying to protect the guy trying to plant the bomb a few weeks ago for NIP. And they shouldn't have allowed Pulse to wrap around Arch in the first place and get in a position to deal so much damage. And now Team Xenex, they can pretty much smell the victory here. They only need 3 more rounds, and they are on the more favoured CT side. And they've got a heck of a load of firepower to work with. So let's see what happens. FM, they're lacking a significant amount of smoke for my liking here. They've only got 2, so we could see them try and perhaps push up Banana and then use those smokes, one towards CT, one towards Coils. But this is what Shiki was doing at Banana. That's what I wanted to see FM do. FM can't get access to Banana, meaning they can't get access to the B-bomb site here, because of how aggressive the CTs are playing on Banana. Pulse now on Arch by himself, 3 versus 2, and it's advantage to FM, but Rattlesnake, he's in a great position to capitalize. Capitalize he just about won't, and now Shiki on the rotation.
1v2, Weber and Mike S to stop him. He's going for this one, and why not? Knows where that smoke just came from. Looks for Weber, spots him, gets the tag, not the frag. Now he should be able to follow this up. That flash coming out was awful from Mike S, but he does get the kill in the end. But that blinded Weber almost enough that it opened up the possibility. But 9-13, FM holding on. But it seems so close now. But the money on towards the CT side is a little low at least.
It is, and it is the more expensive side. And the thing is, once you start losing a few consecutive rounds, it just punishes you so much, the economical system in this game. And realistically, we probably expect FM to enter double figures now. It's going to be similar to what we saw on DDoS 2, where it looked like Xenex were incredibly close to claiming victory, but then they ended up on the wrong side of the economical system with only pistols, and FM just did what they had to do with the rifles and the AK-47s, and we probably are going to see a stamp here on the A-bomb site.
Weber so close to being caught here, just knowing what Pulse is up to, that's perfect. And FM just starts playing it well, looking like they know what's up. They're just dealing with them clinically, one by one, and not allowing the CT side to do any damage thus far. So, Shiki last man in, picks up the 5-7, but with all 5 players standing, and they're well set up for this. They're even going to just go straight away for the shot into it. Dansky, a little low, but the Tech-9 did come through in the end. So, to be fair, yes, it was against a completely ecoed upside, but at least FM didn't lose a player. They kept a lot of their utility as well.
Definitely. It is going to be a double eco coming out from Team Xenex. We've got a few of the players investing in grenades, CZ75 for Mole as well, but I want to see them try something different here. They are going to put 4 players on this A-bomb site. It looks like the mass majority of them on quad. They're probably going to boost Socken again. He likes to get boosted on top of the... No, he's not going to get boosted. We've got 3 players on Arch. Mole, Rattlesnake, and JT playing up close and personal within this smoke. And you know what? fm-eSports are going to be running into him. Rattlesnake with the headshot. Weber returns as well. It's a double from Rattlesnake. And Mole here in a great position with the CZ75. He does make it count. And is this going to be fm-eSports crumbling right when it matters the most?
Oh, this would be a bottle and a half, but Niels is there, and he is the possible saving grace of this team. Now Shiki again, always seeming to be last man alive. Does get himself something to work with, but look who's waiting. Weber knows exactly what's up, and that is just Weber to the T, just knowing exactly how he wanted to play it, and will pick up the round. So, at the moment, it's been a little bit harder for Team Xenex to string a couple of rounds together. You can see it there. 3 now back-to-back for the T side, but then bearing in mind, 2 of those were against an eco team. So, this is the hard round. This is when you've got this big boy in play. You've got the beautiful AWP now need to put to action. And well, I'm curious to see how well this works out if FM actually do go towards A.
We've got to make sure it doesn't do the same mistake Mike S did against him. And let's see how he's going to play it. There's plenty of different ways to play Arch side with the AWP. Some players like to play quite up close in the Arch. Some players like to play around the corner in front of the library, like this position that Rattlesnake has now changed into. And the beauty about this position is he doesn't have to show much of himself, but he has the angle advantage where he can just wait for the T's to literally, quite simply, run into his crosshair. And fm-eSports still not quite sure which of these two bomb sites they want to go to. They're sort of hoping that Xenex shows something that they can capitalize on, but it just hasn't happened quite yet. And this is a big sign of experience coming out from Xenex.
Yeah, fantastic discipline being displayed. Rattlesnake not quite going to the corner, still holding by the arch, and you can see them having to now work for their meal. If they want to try and get this, it's going to be a lot more difficult. Oh, Mole then, if he'd committed, that could have gone very badly wrong. Niels is just around that corner, steps away, and actually Mole gets it. That's devastating. Rattlesnake now knows, okay, there is actually a real threat here. Let's play even more passively from the arch possibly. Oh no, he got a little bit faked out on that one. They pushed up. Now Mole has to go big again. Just finding his way through the smoke perfectly. It's down to just 2 players to try and piece this one together.
And the final player is Socken. And Socken is no more. And that round so crucial for Xenex. If they had lost it, they'd have found themselves back on an eco round. But they won it. They've got money to play with. Meanwhile, fortunately for FM, their finances, because of the amount of consecutive rounds they won, weren't doing too badly either. But FM, they lose this one, it leaves Xenex on match point. So let's see whether FM are going to try and up the tempo, because these past few rounds where they've been incredibly slow, Xenex have quite simply read them like an open book. I want to see something new, something different come out from FM.
And with that spawn that Rattlesnake got, I was really hoping he'd go for that mid pick, but a little late to the party on it. Once again, T-side like to just take control of apps very slowly, very cautiously. I think Mole's already starting to watch that one. Nothing too aggressive, nothing too out there. Weber gets a little caught up by a bit of fire coming in, but nothing too much. Weber just looking for an opportunity on B pretty much. He's just there to maybe pester and annoy. If he can get the opener, it's fantastic, and they work. Now, smoke comes in. And this is a very slow one for fm-eSports. They're taking their time here.
Weber's presence on top of Banana, like you said, making noise, will probably hold the 2 CT to stay on the B bomb site, but it's not going to matter if Rattlesnake keeps hitting his shots. Double from the CS Source legend. There is the hat trick, stamping his foot down on this game. And fm-eSports, they don't know what hit him.
They just got decimated. Rattlesnake knows it as well. He's even fallen back a little bit further. He doesn't want to give away the game. He's even at this point, you know, you'd expect most players to be out of their seat by now, just knowing they've done so much damage. But cool, calm, collective, Eva just falls back a little bit, maybe expecting a push up, and FM are not having any of it. They need to keep these AKs. They need to look elsewhere in the next couple of rounds, because this one has gone from, well, a possibility to absolutely nothing just because of Rattlesnake. 26-18 as well, a very big performance for him this game and in this map. So Xenex looking very close here to winning this one.
And it wouldn't surprise me if they do win this one. Sure, Neil saved an AK-47, but he's only got 4.6k, which probably means he'll be able to drop that AK and buy one for his own, but they're still going to have around 2 players on only pistols or Tech 9s. And in fact, the AK was given to Mike S. Neil Xeno donating his weapons, and he's going to be one of the 2 players, including Windansky, who is going to be playing with these pistols. Rattlesnake, he's just shot Weber. I think that was through the wall. He's put him down to 46 HP as well, and he's such a crucial player for FM. And to tag him so early on in the round, especially with how we know that Weber's one of those players who does sort of have a liability to tilt fairly often, that might not be what the doctor ordered for FM.
Definitely not. Speaking of Weber, taking his time, smoke comes out from CT Arch towards the top of Banana, then just thrown out by Rattlesnake, trying to assist the B site in case they do make a play. And this looks like it's going to be a slow-ish B at the moment, still 55 seconds. Smoke just goes down.
Thing is, the CTs have pushed second mid. They know exactly what's coming here. fm-eSports. Let's see whether the luck is going to go in their favor. At the moment, it isn't. Pulse and Shiki mowing them both down as Xenex, they can smell the victory now. And Mole was the man who pushed second mid. He was the one who got the information for Team Xenex. And I'm sorry, FM, but that was just far too simple for Xenex there in that situation.
Xenex on map 2 just looked so much stronger, so much better. They knew what they wanted to do and they achieved it perfectly. You saw individual players having a fantastic performance. Got to count, you know, spot out Rattlesnake then. He played so well with that orb, that 1-3K he picked up. But then there were other players, Pulse coming in as well, doing the same thing. Every single time a player was able to step up. Sadly for me, FM had moments where it all came together, but they just were few and far between.
Yeah, I agree. Hit the nail on the head. It's simple as that. I think not Team Xenex, fm-eSports. Obviously, again, we talk about them being a mix and stuff, but even with them being a mix, you've got to have that one player who's sort of far from the rest of the bunch on the T side to prevent players like Mo pushing second mid like that. You've got to punish the CTs when they push to find out all this information, because it was the CTs, they then rotated all their men round towards the B-bomb site. They had 3 players on the B-bomb site and 2 players coming from behind from Banana, and the Ts just found themselves completely surrounded in a round where they had no room for error.
Well, hopefully for FM they can kind of pull up themselves together a little bit. It was a very tough entrance in towards these offline finals. That was the semi-final number 1. There is still a second to go on, but that will be tomorrow. But back to this. If we now take in aspect the overall, the 4 teams who are here, we just got to see these 2 going head-to-head. Do you think the others will be able to compete here? Do you think we had a very one-sided game to begin with, or do you think that actually Xenex could be maybe en route to actually win this?
I don't see why not. I think Team Xenex are the most, well, I know for sure they are the most stable team here at the event. We've got Team Infused, obviously players, again, who have played together for a fair bit. HudsG's sort of been in and out of the Team Infused lineup. But after HudsG left his new European side and has joined rejoined Infused again, it makes me wonder whether 2 or so weeks of practice together is going to be enough to sort of break down such a solid Xenex unit. But Xenex, they analysed what went wrong for them at I-Series, and they've come back, and to be fully honest, they impressed me, and I don't see why they can't win the event. They've got so much experience in the lineup as well, and with Rattlesnake heading them, anything's possible.
Yeah, it's a hit-miss thing, isn't it? Everyone can always, go to the negativities and the negative points that publicly people assume about the likes of Rattlesnake, the negative side that the player can bring, but then every time you get reminded how good he can be, it's like, well, of course you see why he's in that lineup. Of course it makes sense, but it's always quite funny seeing the external opinions, let's say, of the UK scene, because they are quite public figures. Critical being one of them as well. There's so many characters in this scene, so it does build up a very let's say, specific opinion of certain players. They do get that reputation. And it echoes in game as well. You saw the banter between Weber and a couple of players, but at the end of the day, there's always handshakes. It's always good sportsmanship afterwards. There's no fights going down until maybe Critical does make it to the stage and call someone out again. But we'll have to wait and see.
What a great game. In a weird way, I'm disappointed that we didn't go to Cobblestone, but
I kind of wish I could have seen that. Well, sadly, we didn't get our 3rd map, but we did get a good 2, I think. I think it was a good way to start this one off. FM not quite putting up the performance. We'd won a couple of issues there that just really gave it over to Team Xenex. But enough of our opinions. Let's hear it from the people who do know what they're talking about, apart from Alex. Take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Laura. Unfortunately, I have the brains I get to choose from. I have, of course, Hostelot and Henry G joining me once again at the